But anyway, we're going to go into game number 3 here in this clan war between Seraphic Nexus and Ecko Esports. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure you do link the stream in your relevant Skype chats as well. Harass everybody, copy paste, and then say Duckville said to do this. And then when they say who's that, just say, well,
who?
He's some guy. Don't worry about it. Just go and watch the stream because we're bringing you some quality StarCraft 2 action here on a Tuesday night, which is bin night if you're in my area. Someone remind me to put the bins out. Anyway, let's start our game up at the top right-hand side as our pink Zerg player. He's coming out to try and stop the wrath of his opponent. It is Switch from Ecko.
And in the top left, spawning in the red as the Protoss, he is steamrolling through Ecko right now. It is Seraphic Nexus Zanaku, and it looks like he's going to go for a bit of a Forge expand, or at least the Nexus first.
I miss the days of White Ra's gateway fast expands, and I'm not talking like the gateway in base. I mean gateway is part of the wall. It's crazy.
I remember like watching a video of Close Spawn's Lost Temple of White Ra against Idra. Like, I watched it like 6 months ago. It's like in the beta of Wings of Liberty. What's he saying?
He's stacking. He's got his mining pairs up.
Oh my god. Yep. If you guys want to know how to stack drones, you can go check it out on my YouTube channel. God damn it, Switch. But yeah, that game was hilarious. Like, I just watched it. It was like the game was so bad back then. Just close positions, Lost Temple, gateway first, at the front of the natural. I think Idra opened like 7 roach off one base as a standard build.
There's actually
we've come pretty far.
Yeah, I mean there is still, if you go onto the GOM TV website, there is still you have to click through. It's amazingly frustrating to do, but you can click through and eventually get to the first season of VODs that they have from GSL season 1. That Fruit Dealer one, if anyone remembers that far back. But it does have the games of Hydra versus, I believe at the time it was Inca or someone like that. And
probably, yeah.
Yeah, and Inca was like 4-gating him on blistering sands, and Hydra he was doing like 1 base roaches or something like that. It was just like, this game,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember playing Zerg back at the start. And it was like Delta Quadrant, and my standard build was to open 7 roach off 1 base. I was like, this is standard, man. It's fine to pressure with 7 roaches off 1 base. It doesn't affect your economy at all.
Oh, those are good times. Actually, speaking of which, if you guys, if anyone in the chat is sort of up for a bit of nostalgia, I actually do. It's just sort of a once a month thing, or maybe twice a month, depending on how exciting I'm feeling. But I actually do casts of very, very old games, and I actually have a couple of casts up, including some of Naniwa playing Terran, because he used to play Terran back in very, very early Wings of Liberty. And also, who else is there? There is one of Hydra versus Minigun, I believe it is, which is also a really, really funny game on Cool Ass Ravines. So jump onto youtube.com/Duckville if you want to see some of those old nostalgia games, because they are quite hilarious to watch. But anyway, let's talk about this game that we've got here. Not very long ago in the past, Zanaku set up his Forge, his Gateway, and the Cybernetics Core, going very standard here. Meanwhile, for his opponent Switch, we've got the 3 bases coming up, and we'll probably see him just move into a bit of a macro mode for the moment.
Yeah, definitely going to be a macro game from both players here. I mean, Zanaku can go for 2 base all-in, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to be anything insane because he has got that double gas in the main. And he probably will take the double gas at the natural real soon. It's not the best map for 2 base all-ins, really. There's a lot of open space, and Switch has taken the 3rd base down the middle south of the map instead of the one that's closer to Zanaku. So any 2 base all-in isn't going to be that strong. He's sneaking a probe out, though, so maybe he could sneak a pylon down, but it looks like he's just going to check for the 3rd base of Switch. And once he sees that, he's probably going to be happy. Maybe he'll try and hide it somewhere, or maybe he's just going to send it home.
Interesting. I think Sometimes it's nice to check the drone count at the third base as well, because it can
Yeah,
show
definitely.
you. It definitely shows you a bit of what's going on. You know, how many drones has he set up here? Are there any? Is there even a queen here? Has he started that kind of thing? But he didn't bother checking for that just now. He's just sort of sent the probe home, content with that information that there is a third base, and that there was no fancy Lennox style MLG Dallas cancel kind of thing coming out or anything like that. Just the standard sort of stuff from Switch. He's up to a total of 45 drones right now. We'll probably see what exactly he's going to go for very, very soon.
Yeah, and Switch saw the double gas from Zanarko as well, so both of these players know exactly what... Oh, actually, Zanarko throwing down a Twilight Council right under that Overlord. I'm not sure if he noticed it before he threw it down, or if that's a fake, or what he's trying to do. Actually, it might be a bit of a fake, because he has got that Warp Prism coming from the main base. Actually, it looks like just a standard expand build. I'm not sure why he decided to put the Twilight down underneath. You got the 4 gates and the Robo and the Twilight, so it's going to be expand build with Immortals, Prism. Actually, you're going for the Prism first. That's kind of weird. I think normally you just go Immortals with an Observer first, so maybe you try and sneak something out there.
Well, not to mention, if you were going to head across with a Warp Prism, normally you'd actually already have a couple of units ready to go, but he's just got the single sentry, and that's about it. So it looks like he is going to head across. We'll probably see the Warp Prism set up, throw down a couple of Zealots, I believe, and then we'll get started with some harassment. This is something which Root Gaming's Puck likes to do. Send a Warp Prism out very quickly, try and harass those queens that are out there as well. We may see that come about. What you want to do is actually just try and drop right on top of her, and as you can see, Zanarko is actually heading straight in for something like that, and nope,
I'll go straight for the mineral line instead, so just gonna try and work on those drones. Gonna work on the hatchery. Are there any units for Switch? No, there's 32 lings on the way, and there's another warping. Can he take down this hatch in the main? If he gets that, there's going to be no lair for Switch, and he's definitely going to get it. He's going to take it down. These lings just pop in now, and he might even be able to pick up a couple of those Zealots. Transfuse going down, but it goes down, and now he's not going to have anything to deal with that upcoming blink from Zanarko. He's not going to have the speed roaches. All he's going to have is speed lings. He's got to wait so long for that lair to finish.
That is a pretty telling moment here in this game, with Switch not able to defend against those Zealots that dropped in and said hello. The hatchery goes down. Lair is going to switch over to the third base instead, and well, there is the hatchery inside the main. Is going to start back up again, and we'll see what Switch is going to do from here, because that does put him in a very awkward position.
Yeah, we've got another warp in here at the third base. Maybe he wants to get that lair as well, but there's definitely enough Zerglings to save this one. He probably wants to pick up and get out of there. There he goes. There's the pickup. Gonna go for the natural, but there should be a queen in there as well. Yeah, that's gonna get picked off, so that goes down. And now he's gonna just pump roaches. He knows there's no third base for Zanarko, and it's probably gonna be a follow-up ball in, which is a lot of Immortals actually. He's got 4 Immortals right now, and with Blink Stalkers behind that, it's gonna be really, really strong. Just against a roach-based composition.
Yeah, very strong push here. This is something that isn't as seen these days anymore, just due to people really liking a little bit more of a macro play with Colossus, fast third base, and moving up to Void Rays and certain timing pushes based on that. But this kind of thing is not something you see as much these days. But as we can see, Warp Prism is going to come out. The +2 to weapons just finishing up. 2 of these Overlords have been sitting in a perfect position for this whole time. So if, Switch didn't have any idea that this Immortal push is coming, then I think he's got bigger fish to fry. But we'll see what he's going to do, because the Immortals, the Sentries, many Sentries are all on the way across. 8 Sentries, we've got a bunch of Stalkers. The Warp Prism is going to help out with some more Warp-ins as well. And as the Protoss forces approach, what do you think we're going to see Switch do here, Venom?
It looks like Switch is trying to move around to the middle of the map, maybe swing around for a counterattack as well. No, maybe not. He's going back. No, maybe he's going to go for the counterattack. I think the counterattack is the best option here. Maybe not with his entire army, but I think at least a small counterattack would be good. But Zanarko moving up the natural ramp. Now he's up the ramp. He can force field that ramp, and he's got an amazing position. It looks like it's just going to be a base trade for Switch. He's taking that base at the bottom there with 4th base, and now Switch is going to push in to the natural of Zanarko. He can take down the sentry. There's not much for Zanarko, so he's going to be able to kill this base when he... Oh, recall! There's the recall. I'm not sure about this move. This is a great counter-track by Switch. And now he's going to be able to kill all these roaches. Oh, there's a blink forward trying to kill these roaches. Couldn't get the force fields though, so now Switch can get out. What a great move by Switch with that counter-attack.
Yeah, did a decent amount of damage. Back at home, we did see a couple of Swarm hosts come out. Unfortunately, they were obliterated straight away. Switch is now attempting to get a lot of static defense up at his third base. If he can, I think if he can just hold this for a little bit, he may be able to salvage something, but it's still a little bit of a difficult position right now, because push number 2 may get started here for Zanaku, and that could be a very troublesome one to deal with.
Yeah, it looks like Zanaku's actually trying to establish a third base here instead of just going all in.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be good for Switch because he's going into Swarm Host now. Actually, 2 Zealots in the main base. Going to work on that Queen. And the Queen will get picked off, but those Zealots going to get finished off now. Now, Zanaku's moving across the map. I don't think there's any vision for Switch, so he doesn't know this is coming. He probably wants to still counterattack right now, as there's probably not enough Swarm Hosts on the field right now. He has got a lot of spines. Actually, did he cancel the spines?
He canceled.
Yeah, he cancelled the spines.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, all of them. So, no more static defense set up for Switch at his third base. This does mean that the Roach Warren, the Lair, and the 2 Evo Chambers are very exposed, as we can see. Did he force field himself out of this fourth base?
Yeah. He really wanted those drone kills, and now here we got the counter-attack coming for Switch again. I think this is the best thing he can do as he builds up his Swarm Host count. He is going across the map with... Actually, where are the Swarm Hosts? Oh, there they are. So Swarm Hosts at the third base. They're going to help delay this push a lot. There are Zealots in the main, but I think there's enough Roaches and Spine Crawlers if he keeps building units to deal with those. 8 Spines coming up at the third base, and he's just going to... Oh, recall again. So Zanaku just moving out, taking down bases, recalling, and he's taking the third base at the same time. Once that third base gets up, well, it's kind of a weird situation because Switch is getting up a nice Swarm Host count now.
Yeah, it's this is a point where, as a Zerg player, you do see a lot of players kind of buy back a game in a way using the Swarm Host just because of that free defense. But, is he going to be able to bring this one back? They're both down at a very low worker count, sitting both of them at 42 and 43 respectively for Switch. So it's a really odd kind of game. It's just been back and forth. I'll kill a base, then, I'll knock on the front door and bring you back home and all these kinds of things. It's been a very, very odd game, to say the least.
Yeah, the thing is, without Colossi or something with AoE, that the Swarm Hosts are going to be so good. He hasn't got that many right now. How many has he got? He's got 8 Swarm Hosts. That's actually a pretty decent amount. It's not like perfect. Maybe you want like 13, 14. But 8 Swarm Hosts against 0 AoE, that's really, really good. And if you can deal with these Warp Prism drops that Zanaku is doing, maybe you can get back into this game.
Yeah, it's been very taxing on both of their economies in a way, namely because Zanaku has just stopped with his probes for quite a while, and he just hasn't been able to get everything rolling as he would like to, but he does have the bank there. Where are those Colossi? We do have a Templar Archive, so Storm is going to be available very soon. Has not been researched just as of yet, but yeah, I think we've gotten to a point where Zanaku is going to have a very hard time pushing with all of those Swarm Hosts out. The number continues to grow, another one on the way, some Roaches also helping out with the defense as well, but it looks as if Zanaku does want to push across. He's not going to wait for any of that AoE. He's got a lot of Guardian Shield, a few Force Fields also available. Stalker's coming through. There is a nice little Force Field wall off to try and control some of the space here, but I still think it's a little bit too much. He just cannot deal with all of this firepower of the Locust down on the ground, and for the time being, Zanaku is forced to back off, but a couple of counter-attacking Roaches will make their way across to the third base of Zanaku.
Yeah, and we got a drop in the main. Zealots trying to work on the hand tree, but they're going to get taken down. Great move by Switch to split off a few Roaches. He's counter-attacked by Switch. Not going to do too much of the third either. There are cannons over there, but he is sending another big counter-attack. Across the bottom map, actually, they're going in a really weird direction. I think he's just trying to escape from the army right now. And the thing is about using Swarm Hosts on Whirlwind is that this is such a big map. You can secure 3 base, maybe 4 base, but if you want to move across the map with Swarm Hosts, they can counterattack and just do things like this, where he's just going to take down his 4th base, and the Swarm Hosts are just not going to be there. And now it looks like Switch is just going to go for the full-on attack now with these Swarm Hosts, going to try and bait Zanaku back to his base and can fight with the Swarm Hosts.
Another recall back. That is recall number, like 4 or 5 even here from Zanaku. He's been utilizing that a lot here, and as we can see, Switch is now moving into position with those Swarm Hosts. He's going to try and set a couple up to get into a big attack here, but it looks as if Zanaku does have a lot of firepower at the front. He's going to try and just bulldog his way through. Is now marching across.
And not going to get away. Blink forward, trying to work on those Swarm Hosts. They have Burrow, and he hasn't got an observer, has he?
There is no observer.
no, there's no observer with this army, so these swarm hosts going to spawn more locusts, and then maybe have to roll over this army and get another swarm of them. Actually, there comes the observer right now, and they're going to get picked off. So many immortals left, and switch GGs.
Well, Zanaku is now on a massive tear right now, 3-0. Seraphic Nexus looking very good at this point with their Protoss player Zanaku up at the front, doing a wonderful job against all of these players. A very odd kind of game, that last one, but
Yeah.
finally got the observer in, and yeah, I think you mentioned it perfectly just before it happened, is that with Whirlwind it's such a large kind of map, there's so much space to traverse. If you do want to attack, if you want to counter attack, you have to get all the way across, and it's just such a long distance before you can even, you know, start laying down the siege, as it were, with all of those swarm hosts.
Yeah, the way Protoss deal with swarm hosts is that they just try and avoid them unless they've got a massive Colossus count, or they've just got a massive lead where they can just roll over them. But if you can just ignore them, you can generally base trade faster than swarm hosts because they're so